Jesus is. Hallelujah. If you sit in the vicinity of somebody, just look all the way over at him and say, do you know who he is? Do you know? Do you know who he is? Can I tell you before I get into my preachment? Yes, sir. If you really knew who he was, you would have shouted better than that. Do you know? Because everybody ought to know who Jesus is. I want to share with you a true story that happened in Spain. Police were called about a gorilla that had gotten loose outside of Laura Park Zoo. They immediately dispatched a veterinarian who was armed with tranquilizer to subdue the beast before he could do damage in the community and have everybody in a panic. And the act of bravery very soon turned into buffoonery when it was discovered that it was actually a human in a gorilla suit. The zoo, ladies and gentlemen, was actually having a gorilla escape drill. Everything had gotten out of control. So the zoo and the police department had to come together for a press conference to explain that it was simply a case, listen to this, of mistaken identity. Yes, sir. It's a true story. I know y'all Googling it right now. True story. And wow, the Constitution affords us the right to bear arms. Many of us are grateful that we didn't have access to a loaded weapon when it was unveiled that some of the characters of our past were dressed up like people. Come on now. I like that. And Maya Angelou famously said, when people show you who they are, believe. Y'all heard that before. Yes, sir. Believe them. And many times when you first meet people, they send out their representative. Come on now. And it's not until later that you stumble upon who they actually are. And in this culture, it becomes difficult to know the essence of people's identity because many people seem to be auditioning to be a model on Instagram. Even when there is no runway. A reality star. Yeah, you're a reality star in Snapchat, where there are no cameras and no contracts. So people become enamored by your shell, but they never get exposed to your soul.
That's a great word, Pastor. Yes,
and yet, there's a cry from your inner being that's speaking without the benefit of a microphone. I wish somebody really knew me. I wish somebody really understood me. I wish somebody got me. You remember when Jesus was 12 years old and attended the temple with his parents. And he met with the chief priest. His father came to get him, but he had to remind him that he had to be about his father's business. And sometimes people don't understand why you work so hard. They can't figure out why you sacrifice so much. They don't understand why you don't have to be in a crowd. Because they just don't understand you. Come on, Bishop. And what many people miss is that understanding is just as important as love. it's Valentine's Day, so you can take notes. And so understanding takes more work than falling in love. Understanding is what leads to genuine love. Love without understanding, in the preacher, it won't last. If you understand me, then it'll be easier to love me. Y'all missed it. You'll catch up with it Thursday. And the people who don't love you, they don't understand you. I see you around me, but the question is, do you know me? If you say that you love me, but you don't understand me, you just like me.
Now we see.
And the relationship would be hard to sustain because while that may be sufficient for you, it won't be adequate for me.
I love it.
And so the more that I'm in love with you is the more that I understand you. Can I tell you something? That's why it's easy for people who don't know you not to like you. So most of the people who claim to not like you really don't know you. Watch this. They don't like what they heard about you or what they have assumed about you. And that's why if they're a genuine person, when they really get to know you, they gotta apologize. Because it now goes against everything that they thought. Because the reality is that you had a problem with a figment, here it is, of your own imagination. And so to love me, you must understand that I am complex. And because I am complex, small-minded people will be easily frustrated. So people who have no depth will dismiss you as being too much. But somebody who is plugged into you will understand that you are just enough.
Just enough.
So you have to stop apologizing to people who have become intimate strangers.
Say that again, sir.
And cloak themselves as a friend.
Wow. Are you talking?
But it's their loss. Because they really don't know what a genuine friend looks like. And because some don't understand real love, they can't handle honesty. They're used to liars. And because you operate at a different standard, people who need to be coddled don't know how to take you. They don't know how to respond. And they don't understand that who you are is not contingent on their validation. You don't need no cosign. So if they leave you, you'll still be you.
Yes, sir.
Talk about you, you'll still be you. Because there is something about you that you're not run of the mill. But there's a deeper level of understanding that makes you who you are. I got your attention now, so stay with me. And far too many failed relationships and friendships end because someone assumed that we grew apart
Grew apart. That's what they say.
or felt like they now have become different
Yeah.
people.
Yes, sir.
If the truth be told, they relied too much on the love that they had,
They have.
that they don't have room for the love of who you have developed into.
Wow.
I'm helping somebody. So you did not run out of love. You ran out of understanding.
Come on, sir. Come on.
Y'all are not shouting today. Because I'm helping too many people. Y'all ain't shouting. You loved me when I was naive.
Yes, sir.
You loved me when I was weak.
Listen, Daddy.
You loved the broken me.
Broken me.
But when I get the strength enough to learn to love myself, now all of a sudden it's too much for you. I can't hear nobody. But if you love me, you shouldn't want to see me in a weakened state. And you ought to be able to celebrate the strides, thank you, I need help, that I have been able to take to become who it is that God has called me to be. And if you're upset with who I am now, can I give you a warning label? When God gets through with me, I shall come forth as gold. And the expression that comes to mind is, I love you, but I'm not in love with you. Y'all heard that before. What about it's not you, it's me. Y'all heard that before. Some of y'all heard it just a couple of days ago, right before Valentine's Day. Can I tell y'all, some of y'all too old to be still be doing it. Especially if you're married. I don't need no one day a year to love my wife. Can I tell you, whether I show her roses and chocolates, she still loves this guy. So some of y'all just heard that. No, it ain't you, it's me. So they only love the dimension of you that they have been exposed to. And when they understand other elements to who you are, now they become intimidated. So they are enamored by you being cute. Yeah. They like your shape. They like your car. They like it because you assume that you got a little piece of money. Some of y'all play too much. But they are not prepared for those who have matured. And now all of a sudden, you actually have a mind. So when you begin to think out loud, then they'll try to put you down. They try to shrink you down to their size. And they can't understand why you want to have meaningful dialogue. Why it is that Netflix and chill shouldn't always be an ideal date. Can I give you a news? I bet some of y'all ain't never been to a museum. tell you about it. But we always Netflixing and chilling, and the best thing you can do is go to Red Lobster. That's the best you can do. But because there is something different, boy, there's a chill coming over here. In your DNA that you are in the world, but you are not of the world. And when people don't fully understand who you are, they don't recognize that you can be playful, but you're not to be played with. I think I found some help all the way in the bag. And if we could be honest, I love God. I know the scriptures. But there's another side of me that needs to stay dormant, that needs your constant prayer. So you got to be on guard and activate your alarm system for people who claim to love you but have not gotten to know you. So be careful of the folk who fall in love with you when you haven't fully grasped who I am. Don't tell me what I want to hear. Don't say I love you until you can stand by it and live through it. God, I'm hearing better than they shout. Can I remind you that when Job lost everything, his wife said, why don't you curse God and die? And yes, she loved him, but she had a moment where emotions began to override the assignment. And Job responds to the missus, why can't the same God that gives also take away? I didn't make that up. Job's wife thought that God was only the God of increase. Come on. I need the mature folk now. And didn't realize that we also serve a God who subtracts. Yes, sir. So if we're going to be true believers, we got to stop with this cotton candy gospel that only expects the overflow. That's only a dimension of God. But when you really know who He is, there's going to be some seasons when you're not sure of how you're going to make it. Like our ancestors said, working from can't see to can't see. There will be some difficult moments where you can't stand your job, where you don't like nobody who you work with, or even you don't like the folks at your house. But after you come through that, you will be able to testify, I've had some good days. Oh God, and I've had some bad days, but when I begin to look around and think things over, my good days outweigh my bad days. Y'all heard it before, and I got some witnesses. I won't complain. I could, but I won't. I should, but I won't. Oh God, I won't complain. And can I tell you, we shouldn't want to be around saints who only know one dimension of Him. But I need people around me who know that some way, somehow, if I can hold out, change will come. And I need some people who understand that. Have you not heard? Come on here. Did you know that the everlasting God, the Lord, the creator of the ends of the earth, neither faints nor is weary, but his understanding is unchangeable. He gives power to the weak, and to those who have no might, he increases. Do you know him? Even the youth shall faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fall. But do you know that God? But they that wait upon the Lord, come on, y'all, shall. This is a Bible church. Y'all got to repeat it. Shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, walking and not fainting. And I got some folks standing in this room, and I only need 2 or 3 who know from experience. He may not come when, oh God, come on, when you want him to come, but he is an on-time God. Somebody wave your hand and say, yes, he is. Oh God. Yes, Lord. How many of you know that he's an on-time God? Yeah. Let the world hear you say, yes, he is. Oh, God. Yes, Lord. I would say be seated, but I like when y'all help me there. And when Jesus, oh God, was walking on that water, the disciples thought they had seen a ghost, simply because they did not recognize him in a storm. They had only seen him on mountains, running through the hills and the valleys, but they had never seen him go through something that could have swallowed him whole. And I want to say to you, please don't fall in love with anybody who's not prepared to see you walk through your storm. If they can only love you when you look like the Mac counter, if they can only love you when you making it rain, if they can only love you when you're in the best shape of your life, can I give you a news flash? It won't last. But if you can find somebody who will love you, even when you still got sleep in your eyes, when you need to swish some Listerine in your mouth, when you're having that bad hair day, when your wig is a little crooked, when the 6-pack has turned into a gallon, when you suffered a blow and your emotions are out of whack, when the pain that you feel seems to be weighing you down, and they can still look at you and say, you are the bomb.com. That's when you found somebody that will love you when you're walking through a storm. Yes, Lord. Hallelujah. I got a few folks who are still standing with the preacher. Yeah, saying, yeah, I'm walking through. That's the key part. I'm walking through this storm. Yeah. Come on. Those of y'all who are standing right there, just wave your hand and say, I can't wait to see what's on the other side of this. Oh, God. Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. And those of y'all who are standing and waving your hand here, don't worry about who's not celebrating with you, but I can't wait. Yeah, because I'm walking. And can I tell you, The Lord, he tried to warn us about himself. And on that warning label, it says, if you read it on the back, my ways, look on the back, there it is, are not like your ways. It's on the warning label. My thoughts are not like your thoughts, but I still love you. And some of us got that kind of testimony because a whole lot of people don't think like me. A whole lot of people won't say what I say. So it takes somebody special to love me. And when you look in the Lamb's Book of Life, there will be a check by my name. Oh, he called it. Well, I preach it because the check is going to say, he's verified. I'm verified because God knows that he can trust me even when I'm going through a storm. Somebody wave a hand and say, I'm verified. I've learned how to bless God even when I don't have money in my pocket. I done found help in here. Somebody shout, I'm verified. I love God with my whole heart. Even when I didn't have nobody at the house to love me. Somebody say, I'm verified. I come to church in the rain, when it's snow on the ground, when it's sunny outside, even when somebody telling me I shouldn't go. I go to church because I'm verified. Because I've learned how to love him when I'm up and when I'm down. Somebody wave a hand and say, I'm verified. Because I will bless the Lord at all times, and his praises shall continue to be in my mouth. And those of y'all who gonna rock with the pastor, would you give God glory right now for loving you with all of your dimensions, all of your shifts, all of your changes. Oh, how I love Jesus. Why? Because he first. Oh God, y'all heard that. Do you love me? Yes. Oh God. Hey, I got to move. I said because he first loved me. Oh, you can't be ashamed to say that. Because he first. Yeah, Minister Moore, because he first loved me. Oh, hallelujah. And now I've walked into Matthew chapter 16. And the leaders, yeah, Mike, we're going to go in just a minute. And the leaders come to Jesus. I'm in Matthew 16. Watch the text. I'm at the beginning. I'll walk the text just for a little bit. They come to Jesus looking for a sign. And hear this, because people who don't know you always want you to prove yourself. But you got to get to the point that you operate under the conviction, I am not auditioning for a role that I already have. God be with us, because somebody just missed it. Go back and catch it later. And can I tell you, Deacon Carr, that Kevin Costner, he told this story, that Whitney Houston was extremely nervous when she came to audition for the movie The Bodyguard, because she had never acted before. Never been in a movie, not even, some of us didn't know it, not ever even being in a play. And even though she went through the screen test, what she didn't know, God help you, is that she already had the role.
Come on now. Come on.
Because the gift in her was so real. He said, I already knew she could do it, whether she believed it or not. And some of us ought to be shouting right now, because God wants us to know the role is already yours. You don't have to play no games. You don't have to get involved in office politics. You don't have to kiss up to, I'm talking to go somebody, you ain't got to kiss up to nobody. God has you right in position because you've been faithful over a few things. God is making you ruler over many. And why am I shouting, preacher? Well, for the role that I'm getting ready to play. Because God already has something amazing in store. I'm coming now for your life. And that's why we are dedicated to destiny. They wanted Jesus to prove himself, and he got away from those strangers. Come on, fast forward. Who didn't know him, and he talked to his inner circle. He talked to his friends, and we know them as disciples. He asked, who do people say that I am? And they said, somebody said you were John the Baptist. Some of them folk talking about you, Elijah. And I heard somebody say you were Jeremiah. And some of the people said you just a prophet. And I want you to understand this, because of the complexity of who you are, people cannot agree on who you are. And so there are so many different opinions about you. And can I shout you real good? And most of them are not true. And I've heard this before. It's not what they call you, but it's what you answer to. God, here, I'm coming to get you over there. And you got to make up in your mind. It doesn't matter what anybody thinks. Because I know who I am. Who are you, preacher? I am the head and not the tail. I am above and not beneath. I am, oh God, I'm the lender and not the borrower. Would you lay hand on yourself and say, I know who I am. I am the chosen seed of Abraham. I have the favor of God on my life. I will have more than enough. I know who I am. And can I give you another news flash? I may not be your cup of tea, but somebody likes coffee. And I'm so thankful, oh God, that I know who I am. Oh God. And Jesus says, after I talk to all of them, and I tell me, you've already said what they said. But I gotta ask you the critical question, because y'all roll with me. You've been eating with me. You've been seeing miracles happen right before your eyes for 3 years. And now I got to ask you something that I have never asked before. Watch what he says. Jesus didn't ask them, do you love me? That's not what he said. He wanted to know, who do you think that I am? And I'm telling somebody watching me right now, I'm telling somebody in this room that someday this week, you're going to have to recalibrate some relationships. And you're going to have to ask some people, who do you think that I am? I am not your maid. I am not a doormat. I am not silly and free. I am not your Uber driver. If you don't recognize who I am by now, then you need to go to the warnings. I can't hear nobody here. Jesus asked of them, who do you say that I am? And he asked all 12. We getting ready to come. But only one of them answered. And can I tell you that you can be surrounded by a whole lot of people, but it's only a few who gonna really know you. Not that many friends. You got a lot of associates. And somebody's thinking, Pastor, you really could pass the mic right now. Don't feel bad, because most people don't get me either. Most people don't understand who I am. And even when you see me alone, it doesn't mean that I'm lonely. It's not because I'm depressed. It means that I have learned to be satisfied with me. And I've learned how to be comfortable loving myself. Shout way down. Who do you say that I am? And Simon Peter answered, you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. And I need to close. And Jesus then focuses his attention on Simon Peter. And he says, because you know who I am, you're going to be blessed. And can I tell somebody, get ready for the best shout of today. Because God, yes, is getting ready to bless people who understand who he really is and can love him. Yes, anyway, you can love me even when I'm flawed. And I got my own issues. But once you know me, you may not love me, but I serve a mighty good God, I'm coming now, who loves me in spite of my imperfections. He thought I was worth saving, so he came and changed my life. He thought I was worth keeping, so he cleansed me up inside. He thought I was the time for, so he sacrificed his life so I could be free, so I could be whole, so I can let everyone know I